That's basketball. Trying to get to a little football.
Oh, well, you know that there's never a bad time to talk that.
Well, I'm going to open up with the lesser of the football sports, college football, because I think it's very important to discuss what happened at Northwestern. Player raised a complaint. The school decided to do an independent investigation. Let me tell you what, when a large institution does an independent investigation, don't buy it, okay? Because they're paying the investigators to investigate them.
Right.
And Northwestern, being a private institution, they don't have to publicize what comes from the reports. Pretty much what happens, the investigation gets wrapped up Friday. The president of the school decides to suspend the coach for like 2 weeks in the middle of the summer when it doesn't really matter. And it's not like Northwestern has to be on the road recruiting like Nick Saban because they have a certain type of player that they recruit. And that gets into this later. For those of you who are media savvy, you understand that if a story gets dropped on Friday, it's because they don't want it talked about. They want it to go into the weekend and then get eaten up throughout the week. Well, the player who raised the complaint then went to several media outlets once he saw what happened. He wasn't happy. And long story short, the national media got a hold of the story, caught like wildfire. Then I don't even know that coach's name right now off the top of my head. I can't think of it. He gets fucking fired on Monday. Now, the president did not have any new information between Friday and Monday. He only had the media. He only had the bad PR. And I kind of want to layer this conversation. I want to talk about hazing. I want to talk about the responsibility of the coach in making sure that stuff like this doesn't happen. But first, I want to tell you that the president of Northwestern might as well have been complicit with what was happening, because if you fire the guy one business day after you suspend the guy because of the public relations nightmare that comes from it, it means that you knew what was happening was unacceptable, but you were very careful. You were very comfortable keeping him on your campus, a representation of your school, bringing other young boys into that allegedly toxic culture. You're complicit. I'm sorry, dog. You are complicit because if you actually didn't believe he did anything wrong, you would have fought that PR shit, because guess what? People are still going to go to Northwestern. It's a great university in this country. And football players who can't go to real D1 schools but have great grades are still going to go play there because they want to keep playing football and they want to get a great education. You're complicit because you actually don't give a damn. It's like the Ray Rice thing. And Harbaugh and the fucking Ravens organizations want to fucking start caring the second that the video gets leaked. Oh, they had the video, 6-game suspension or 2-game suspension. All of a sudden, the video comes out. Well, the max we could give him is 6 based on the CBA. So 6 games, and the guy never plays again.
Yeah.
Hey, dog, if you ain't shit, tell me you ain't shit, right? I mean, I was telling a friend earlier this week, I don't not know dude for being a simp, right? If you want to be a simp, if you want to be a John and you want to come join, you know what I mean? If you want to be a part of John's Nightwalker, I'm really thinking about coming up with some merch for John's Nightwalkers, by the way. I think it's catchy.
Hey, look what I'm drawing. I do 2 lines through my notes. Let's go ahead.
But if you want to be a John, don't get around your guys and say you don't trick. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, you're lying.
Yes.
So,
if you want to,
being a liar is worse than being a John.
Exactly. Own your Johnness, unless you're around women who don't want Johns, because then, like, if you tell them you're a John, they're going to expect you to be a John.
The only thing worse than being a liar maybe is a cuck, because then you're so brutally honest. Which I guess we will get to cuck conversation maybe a little later, but
maybe. Yeah, I think being a cuck is like the worst thing a man can be.
And there's a prime example these days. But go ahead.
That video released today. But long story
short, have you?
No.
Okay.
I'm not paying for that shit.
Well, you don't have to. Reddit exists. I mean, Twitter does too.
Well, I've heard. I don't use Reddit.
I don't know. I'm just saying. I don't know.
I heard, but no. The institution in itself is complicit, and they didn't care because he is an alumni from there. He's been there for 17 years. They've actually had some pretty good seasons, but as of late, they fucking suck. And maybe you fucking suck because you have a terrible fucking culture. Dog, I've participated in some dumb locker room shit, but I'd be damned if somebody say, "Hey, Lee, naked bear crawls." Nigga, what kind of gay shit is that? Why am I on the fucking field bear crawling naked? What's the training value?
Sounds like someone wants to see it.
Right, or hey, y'all gonna take naked quarterback center exchanges. Kind of weird shit. I mean, like, don't get me wrong. I've been in the locker room where guys do questionable stuff, and it's locker room culture. It is. There is a part of locker room culture that it's just weird shit happens in there, and it is what it is. But the point is to keep it in the locker room, and everybody has to be on board with it, and it has to be fun. And did you hear about the Northwestern way?
No. Well, what is that?
Pretty much, you couldn't be a nigga with dreads on their team. You had to have a certain image, but the white kids could have long hair. So there are some alleged
Northwestern. There's somebody that was a corner that just got drafted in the top 10 out of there.
So there are apparently some alleged racial overtones to some of the stuff that was happening there.
Oh, man, that's shocking.
a private
that's shocking.
A private white college in Chicago who cares
that doesn't really care about football. Like, they want to win games, I guess, but like it's just like Georgia Tech. I mean, is it really about winning football, or is it about, man, we can field a competitive team full of smart Alex? Like, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, that is what those schools are. Mike Wilbon's a Northwestern guy.
And what really sucks about it, the Northwestern thing is, I'm sure that there were players who dealt with the hazing because they couldn't play in the real Big Ten, but they're getting the best education, arguably, in the Big Ten.
And they knew they weren't going to the league for the most part.
Yeah.
But they'll get to play against the league, and if they're a stud, if they think they're that good, they will look good against them, albeit they're sorry-ass teammates, you know?
Hey, so what are your thoughts on just hazing?
I've never been a part of an organization that does it because I'm not a frat member. I've been a part of teams, of course, and in our teams, there wasn't really hazing. It was more like freshmen, like there was certain stuff they'd have to do, but it was never anything to where you're doing naked bear crawl. Like, it wasn't anything like that. So it was just kind of like, I think when I hear hazing, I think of extreme. Teasing and messing around with her, those are different definitions from hazing, in my opinion. So, like, I don't support hazing. I don't think that it's necessary. And I understand that everybody has to go through it to be a part of this. But it's also one of those things where that isn't the case. I don't think that that's necessary or that it's, right to do, depending, because at that point, if you say everybody has to go through it, everybody, before you can change up the rules, it's like what's the name of that game where you whisper to somebody?
Oh, telephone.
It's like that. Anyone can just change it up by the time it gets to you. So I don't like the idea of hazing. I think that having rituals and things that you go through that aren't necessarily things you want to do, I think that's more than fine when it comes to an organization, but I don't think that it's fine to do it to haze. No, I don't. I don't support that because that's just picking on people.
New student orientation. What we did was a ritual thing that is duplicated year in and year out as a part of becoming a man of Morehouse. Some of that weird shit that happens at graduation that, like, all right, bro, whatever.
Yeah.
It's part of becoming a Morehouse.
The school itself is an organization.
Yeah, it's an institution that does make you do
better word. I'm sorry. Organization sounds.
It makes you do some weird shit that really has nothing to do with the education that you receive, but it is personal to the institution that everybody who comes through the institution has to do. Like you really can't work your way out of not going.
You can't walk out of it. More importantly, everybody's gonna be like, "We respect your feelings, but now you're just being a bitch."
Right. Whereas
I've never seen anyone walk out of it, even the most delicate, feminine type men just like do that. I tell you what, the year I did it, I didn't see it. I haven't been back to be a part of it, but
I'll never go back unless I have a son
me
there.
neither. Well, even I live down the street and I won't do it. So like,
I got my brothers back. I got the fuck out of it, nigga. Weird ass shit. Nigga, I don't even know you.
All right.
Nigga, you might be
like niggas just doing all this yelling and chanting.
But yeah, that stuff was cool because
nobody's up.
No,
my house.
Nobody is intentionally getting hurt. Now, there's some people
probably there's that too. Nobody's getting hurt during this.
Some people pass out. Yeah, dog. Like, hey, you should have drank water, dog. It's Georgia in August. But that's just like that can happen. It's accidental. But here, I'll look at it like this. When we were in high school, in early years of us being in college, hazing was socially acceptable. Mm-hmm. It was an acceptable norm by the society. Today, it's not. And I'm not saying that I was a part of organizations that did that because I wasn't in post high school. I didn't know fucking anything. But once society says hazing is no longer okay, you can't do it anymore. And if you are allowing that to happen, then you are the problem. I'm not going to be mad at, let me see. I first got introduced to hazing in the 6th grade in middle school. All through high school, it was a thing. And granted, I didn't do anything in college centered around hazing. Not really. I'm not going to be mad at people whose frontal lobe hasn't fully developed to like not see how stupid hazing is prior to society making the shift, right?
Yeah.
But once society made the shift, I don't know, like 5 or 6 years ago, that, hey, bro, hazing's not cool. You should respect people's feelings. Like, nigga, no.
And we live in a much more
soft ass society.
Yeah. So like,
we're more receptive to people's feelings, and we care what people have to say now.
I think that getting naked and doing bear crawls on the field, and obviously the coach was in on it, like that makes it even worse. It's one thing when the players are doing it. It's another thing when like 40, 50-year-old men are like a part of this too, because then you're saying that that's your culture, and because you're the one that sets that culture.
Well, that is the culture, bro. If all the stuff
is issue, that is the issue, because that's not the school's culture. Like there was some Georgia players that did a podcast that now this wasn't hazing, but it was them talking about don't come to Georgia if you don't want to work hard. Because this is what we're doing. And like Kirby don't fuck around. Like, so it's one thing when the coach, because that is Georgia's culture. Now that is the culture. But like when you're doing stuff like that, like getting butt naked and on the field, like, I mean, that's a lot, man. That is a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot from a standpoint. It's one thing if everybody's taking a shower and the seniors come in and dump them with Gatorade buckets full of cold ice. That's like, yes, that feels bad, but like,
it's harmless.
That is one thing. But like, why is my genitalia and my ass showing to all these girls? Because, and especially in that conference, I mean, Hey, I'm just saying. It's almost like it's a Midwest thing or something. Midwest, Penn State's not. I guess that's north, but like that Midwest. I tell you,
the Midwest swing, y'all.
Obscure north, because Penn State is not Philadelphia or Pittsburgh, even though Pittsburgh's kind of bumblefuck. Pittsburgh's nice as hell, but like
Happy Valley.
It's like obscure. It's obscure. It's country north. Like so.
Hey, them Northwestern boys be out there rubbing each other's Happy Valley.
Well, and those are the guys running the show. Like they run the county. Like Athens is right down the street, kind of in a way, but like they don't run it. Like they do run it. Like the players run Athens, but like they don't run. Nigga, they are not far from Atlanta. Like stuff can. You can't just do what you want to do. You're not that far from Lowndes County. Maybe they can do what they want to do.
You was that pretty nasty the year that the chairs started getting thrown and shit. When them locals came in there and was ready and was wrecking shop with the UGA athletes.
Yes, sir.
And them muscle NBA or NFL and MLB bound niggas wasn't just shutting shit down. Boy, when I saw that chair get tossed, I said, "Oh,
let me get out of here."
Yeah, I was trying to save this damsel in distress.
Captain Save-A-Ho. My goodness.
Hey, man, we grown, we learn, then we get married. But long story short, man, hazing's not cool, especially now. When you know better, you should do better. Aaron Rodgers is on Hard Knocks. That's a hard knock to start his Jets career, huh?
It's interesting because he's like one of those weird players that obviously is a weird player, but then like he's also like one of the most, if not of this era, outside of Brady, he's the most accomplished. I mean, he's got one less Super Bowl than Peyton Manning, but he's got 4 MVPs himself. Well, Peyton's got 5. But point being, this era of player, he still came after Peyton and Tom. So he's the OG after them because they're both gone. Yeah. And he did he take it or they gave it away? I don't know. But basically he took Brett Favre's spot too, who held all the records. He's a unique player. He played in Green Bay. He is a champion. And it's his first year in the largest city in the United States, and it's the media capital of the world. So it's just kind of interesting because I guess we'll get to see it. And he's got young bucks. Like all them niggas are young. His coach is not a solidified coach. He's a guy that has never been a head coach that has coached a playoff. Like, so it is an interesting dynamic, and it's the Jets. The organization itself is just, I think, behind maybe.
Nigga. Yeah. You ain't no J fan, man. You got all that caping from me, ain't no J fan.
Empire State. Home of the World Trade.
You guys gonna play Empire State of Mind?
Come
on, stop it. I like real hip-hop. I'm not here for these pop hits. I'm not trying to listen to Alicia Keys sing.
Killer Cam, Young Hov is definitely in the building.
I like Dipset.
Brooklyn.
I like the real rock, not Rock Nation. Rockefeller. Where they dissect, goddammit.
BK Brawler, Marcy Projects, Hallway Orderer, Pure Coke.
Okay, I'm done here. That nigga got dizzy on this shit, by the way.
Everybody loves a little Hove, but either way, before I was interrupted by Jay-Z, and Cockefeller Records, as Nas likes to call him.
You're fired.
Hove did. My bad, I'm rusty with the drops.
Oh, my goodness. You know, we didn't even drop a Falcon one yet, but we'll get to that because I'll make a reference to something. But either way, I think that, hell, actually, you know what? I'll make the reference now because it's very easy to do it. Obviously, the Falcons were on Hard Knocks once, but go ahead, drop it. Yeah, you got to drop it now because I don't have much to say about that Hard Knocks. I just said that we were on it at one point.
We are all here to do what Falcons do. Look at that.
Do you think Desmond Ridder gets that over 2,600. I'm gonna get back to Aaron Rodgers, but do you think he does get it? It was an interesting thing to get put in the group today. So
I think he fucking sucks.
It's weird. I did the numbers on it. I took out the outlier. I literally took out the Tampa game because I was like, man, he didn't play against stars. And his average was 161. 160 times 17 is 3,600.
2,600, you mean?
2,600, yeah.
But think about that. His over-under is less than 3,000 yards.
But Josh has a good point, too, because he literally – who's to say that he does finish the season? Like, I think that goes into it. There's a lot that goes into it. But either way –
Heinicke's the best quarterback on the roster.
He is, that we know of. He is the best.
I think that we are 8-9, 9-8 if we just start day one with Heinicke.
I think we can be 10-7. I think that's like the best that he can give us. It's not because he's done it before. I think that this is the better roster than what he's dealt with in Washington. That's my opinion.
Yes. But, yeah, back to Aaron Rodgers. Hard Knocks. They're pissed. They don't want to be on fucking Hard Knocks.
Get over it. Sauce will love the camera.
And you see Sauce
love the camera.
You see Sauce and Asante Samuel going at it? And Darrell Reeves?
Who, Sauce?
Asante Darrell Reeves on Twitter?
Yeah, I saw it. They Asante Samuel brought up his interceptions. Obviously, he's a champion. He's made the Pro Bowls himself. Of course, Reeves was more revered during the era. They were in the same division, obviously, at one point. But and of course, speaking of Falcons, I mean, that was a big get for us at the time. And I think Asante Samuel was 29 or 30. Like, we got him on the more of the back end, but he was still very serviceable his first 3 years. Like, he was good. Chris Houston, guys like that didn't show out for us. That's who didn't show up for us. But Asante Samuel was a reliable one at the beginning of Matt Ryan's career.
I think that Asante Samuel is pretty much expressing what is happening to him. Yeah, he played for the Pats. He played for the Eagles. He played for the Birds. He was a interception, take it to the house guy.
He was. More of a gambler.
But he was never in a market that elevates your character, especially at cornerback, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think he got into this, but his risky style of play. The guys on NFL Zone, remember like Gillette NFL Zone with Jaws and fucking Merrill Hodge or whatever that shit was?
Yeah.
They're not gonna highlight you in the most positive way because that's not the way you're supposed to play the game,
Right.
And I really think that's what he's trying to say is, a lot of you people who talk football don't like the way that I played football, so you are not evaluating me properly.
Yeah, the New York media. I mean, which, like we said earlier with the Jet, that's the media capital of the world, so that is who's talking about it.
Yes, Reeves Island was real.
Hey, you saw Mina Kimes was pregnant, by the way. I know she's Seattle, but
Yeah,
I tell you, I'm a fan.
Same, bro. What I say in the group text every time I see her on TV.
I just thought ESPN. I don't know, but Go ahead.
But now, do I think that Asante Samuel's a better cornerback than Darrell Reeves? No. But do I think that Darrell Reeves was inflated by the New York media? Yeah. Do I think his name became so great that people didn't really try him like that? So when you don't try him, you know what I'm saying? Like when you and I'm not like Darrell Reeves is like probably the best corner of my lifetime that I watched. Like I didn't watch
because Deion. We caught Deion. I remember watching Deion with the Ravens.
I remember watching with the Skins and the Ravens. That shit
I can remember skin ball too, but because Steve Spurrier was the coach, but or for one of those years, the head ball coach. But
that's what Paul Urban had coach.
Look at you taking off the damn Braves hat. Shout out to the Braves.
That's what Spurrier does, though. He takes the visor off and slam that bit.
I just thought because I said the skins, and you know how that Indian stuff goes. Native.
No.
I didn't know if that's what that was. Okay,
no, we stand with the Native Americans here in Georgia.
Have you ever seen somebody do a double entendre reaction physically? That's what you just did.
You know what?
Because you got the Chief Wahoo Braves hat on, by the way, because that is those Braves. That's what there's the A logo, but then there's the Chief Wahoo logo, and that just so happened to be the Braves hat you're wearing. And then I brought up skins and you threw it. But I also brought up Steve Spurrier, and he does do that, and you do have on the head coaching headphones too. So
you know what? That's gonna be a clip.
It should be because it's true.
All right, I'm supposed to be done in 5 minutes, so I'm gonna play around a little bit. But
here, I tell you what, I've definitely got, because I know I came on late. I can go as long as you can, at least for another hour. But I don't know how attentive you, because we've done the show where you've done the class.
Yes, and I'm gonna rewatch it anyway, so we can play with it.
Okay.
So Jets Hard Knocks. Here's what I think is gonna happen. I'm not gonna have that stupid sports take of what Cowherd said. The last 14 teams on Hard Knocks have only won one game. Usually, shitty teams with bad quarterbacks end up on Hard Knocks, so that makes sense. Like
typically.
This was a team who wasn't good, who was pretty good last year, not a playoff team, and Zach Wilson was their quarterback, the MILF hunter. And now they have Aaron Rodgers, who is 2 seasons removed from an MVP.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm sorry. I think he wasn't great last year because he knew his team wasn't good, and he wanted to get the fuck out of there. I do think when players don't want to be somewhere, they don't play their best. Everybody...
I think he lost talent off. Obviously, I mean, Devontae Adams wasn't there.
Yes.
So
that
wasn't there. Something to do with it. But it was the idea, too, that, like, even the guys that he had to throw to, none of them, Lazard, who paid Lazard? The Jets did, huh?
Yeah.
But Lazard's suited as a 2 or 3 at best, and really more of a 3 if we want to be really honest. But, like, I guess it'll be the 2 there. But, like, he's really like a 3. He's a good 3. He's a average to below average 2.
Yes.
And that was the one. And none of the rookies caught on until Watson did halfway through the season.
Well, yeah, Watson dropped
behind the 8 ball by that point too.
And Watson dropped that pass game 1, and Aaron's like,
I'm not throwing to you again.
Yeah. So I think he's going to be a much better quarterback next year. But speaking of quarterbacks, Andrew Luck is now eligible for the Hall of Fame. And because it's the dry season in sports, the media needs something to talk about. And so some people have questioned whether or not Andrew Luck should make the Hall of Fame. And my initial response is fuck no.
It's a hell no.
I listened to fucking Cowherd talk about it because he's an Andrew Luck guy.
Yeah.
Like if Cowherd has nudes and someone told me Andrew Luck has them, I would believe them just of how much praise he gives Andrew Luck, right?
Mm-hmm.
He said he shows up to the worst team in the NFL and he goes 11-5, 11-5, hurt, then like 10-6, right?
Mm-hmm.
And gets him to the AFC Championship.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds good. But that team was 1 year removed from a Super Bowl appearance, if I remember correctly.
No. AFC Championship.
AFC Championship, yeah, but like a 14-2, 13-3 type season under.
I think they were 11-5, but they were the 3. Who did they beat to get to play Brady? They didn't take out the Broncos. Might have been like the Steelers. Honestly, I don't remember. Maybe it was the Chargers. It was like the Chargers. I promise you it was probably them. Because they played that first game was if that's not the same. No, that was Andrew Luck's first year was Kansas City, where they came back in that game. That was the first round though. I don't think that was that season, but either way, they got to the AFC Championship game and they got blown out. It was the Deflategate game, right?
Mm-hmm.
Outside of that, what has Luck done? I mean, statistically, he was great, but I mean, if you want to be technical from a franchise standpoint, he is third.
You're right. 2010, they went 10-6.
Okay, it was Tennessee. It wasn't even 11-5. See, I get
they go 10-6 under Caldwell.
Who they beat in the playoffs to get to the AFC Championship game?
Let's see, that was 2010. 2010 they got beat game 1. I don't know.
The game it was 11 or 12.
But
he
yeah,
threw like 40 touchdowns that year. He had a great year, but
hold on. But I want to talk about this idea that Luck went to just a shit franchise, a shit team where they go 10-6. Peyton Manning can't play anymore, and I remember there's like the OC got asked one day, like, "Hey, you're not letting your backup quarterback get any throws." He goes, "Well, if Peyton Manning isn't playing quarterback, then we're fucked, and we don't practice for fucked." Like, if this guy has to play, we're done. Him practicing doesn't do anything for us, right? So that was a good roster. They tanked because they're like, we don't know if Peyton's ever going to play again. And Andrew Luck is coming out.
Curtis Painter was their quarterback that year. And it's funny. Go ahead.
You said Curtis Painter?
Curtis Painter. That was the starter that year. It's funny. I remember it because, it was Julio's rookie year, and he caught his first 2 touchdown passes against Indianapolis. In that game, it was Dreadhead Julio. So, but he caught like 2 long. He had he had a Randy Moss type game. It was like 3 catches, 105 yards, 2 touchdowns.
So Julio before QC.
Yes. Before he was still a Bama guy at that point. And actually, another fun tidbit. My brother, he was a huge Peyton Manning fan. Of course, my mom, big Falcons fan. Big reason why I am one too. They went to that game together. So it's a memorable game because of those 2 things. Because I would specifically remember being at home and watching it. It was being a blowout. And then I knew that my oldest brother and my mom were at the game. And my mom loved it, of course. But they have like a picture. There's a picture frame that my brother has of them together, and it's framed, but it says like "Mom's victory," I guess, like over him. But it's a big deal because we were good at the time. But the expectation when the tickets were bought was that maybe Peyton was going to play. I don't remember when they ruled Peyton out, but it was after the schedule came out. He didn't get like surgery in like February. It was one of those things where they tried to work it, and then it just he needed to go overseas. He needed to get the Kobe Bryant treatment and go to like Germany for the surgery.
Or maybe he's a Shaq type of guy who likes to get his surgery on company time, or Scottie Pippen.
Could have been. I mean, Peyton doesn't strike me as that type. But then again, I mean, look, he made plenty of money.
Yeah, so Cowherd explains how he turned he turned the whole organization around.
Summer League update, by the way, before you say that. Pelicans are playing the Hornets. The Hornets scored 5 points in the first quarter. Continue.
How many points?
5. So 10 minutes worth of action. They average half a point per quarter.
That's pretty disgusting.
With the second overall pick on the floor. Just interesting to me. 5 points. I mean, think about it. That's either an and 1, 5 free throws, 2 field goals, an and 1, a field goal, 5 free throws, a 3-pointer, or a 3-pointer and a 2-point. I mean, that's the combination of scoring. We can name them on one hand, the combinations that they could have had to get to that point. That's just interesting to me. If you've got the second best player taken in the draft, but
NBA. No, so
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Yeah, no. So nothing for Andrew Luck as a Hall of Famer.
No, hell no. Why would he be?
He won
Like if there's a reason that can be given, I can listen to it. You can't even give a reason. He didn't play long enough. That's being the number one reason why not. Number two, he didn't win anything even in that short period of time. Like he didn't Barry Sanders his way through. Like Barry Sanders, 10 years, 15,000 rushing yards. I mean, that's a 1,500-yard average over 10 years. Luck played like 7 or 8, and he might have 2 playoff wins, no Super Bowls, no MVPs, never was considered the best quarterback in the NFL, even during his time. Like, there's no reason he should be in. He might have 3 or 4 Pro Bowls, and that's it. And that's what you would almost base it on. He had 3 or 4 Pro Bowls. Like, and even that, in a lot of cases, isn't enough unless you have something else to go with it. Like, to me, 4 Pro Bowls is the minimum to be a Hall of Famer, but you have to have a lot else to go with it. 5 Pro Bowls even. 4 or 5 Pro Bowls. You have to have that.
Well, look what the Colts are now that he's gone.
That doesn't underscore his importance. I just think that it doesn't mean that he's him for Hall of Fame reasons. Like, he's not Hall of Fame him.
Well, I don't think he's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
What did he play? 5 years, 6 years, 2012 to 2018. He was either great or hurt. Comeback player of the year in his last season. He left his team out to dry and quit right before the season started. I think that's horse shit.
I mean, look, I don't know how long nobody can be mad if somebody quits at a certain point. Like, that'd be like being upset that somebody comes back at a certain point.
You know what? You can quit whenever you want to. But if I am looking at your legacy and we're talking about a Hall of Famer, I can say that, hey, dude, you probably should have quit before and worked your way back up.
Been thinking about this.
Yeah, like, bro, just take the season off, work your way back, and then maybe you come back. You know what I mean? But he did have 4 Pro Bowls, 2012 to 14 and 2018. He led the league in passing in 14. He didn't make All Pro. So
think about it. No All Pros, 4 Pro
I'm done. Dog, you cannot, I don't care what era you come in. You cannot, in my opinion, be a Hall of Famer if you never make All Pro.
If you've never been the best player at your position at any point in your career.
Yeah, you shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame.
I agree. I think that should be a part of it, that you don't even have to be a multi-time All-Pro, but you need to have 1 year where everybody's like, man, the Vince McMahon he was special. Like, you need to have that 1 year that everybody's like, man, he lit the league up, and it was undeniable. And that's why I hate to get into the Falcons thing, but that's why Matt Ryan, to me, is a Hall of Famer, for instance, because I know that we're kind of going off that list even a little bit too. Oh, yeah, that we had in the group there. And I agree with all the locks that they had put up, but those were retired and non-active players. Matt Ryan is still technically active, and there's another player that wasn't on that list. Who is it? That should be, because they're technically retired too.
I'm pulling up the list right now if you give me a second.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so
go ahead.
Hold on. This isn't the quarterback. Did I not save the quarterbacks list with you?
No, we have the list that I think ESPN.
No, I want to say it's a 33rd team.
It could have been them, yeah. It's right there. It's not too far along the list.
No, I'm gonna find it. I don't consume much ESPN. Golly, why are y'all posting so much 33rd team? When did we? Here we go. No, that's MVP.
Who?
Oh, Hall of Fame chances. These are just random players. I thought wasn't there a quarterback?
I have it right here. It's right here.
Send it to me.
These were the locks. It is, bro. It's in between our chat.
Oh, is it? Oh, me and you?
Yes, it's like the third thing. Peppers, Gates, Suggs, Vinatieri, Kuechly, Fitzgerald, Breeze, Gore, Peterson, Roethlisberger, Gronk, Brady, Watt. All of those are locks. Is there anyone on that I ran through that you even had to think twice about?
No.
At first,
maybe-
I'll be honest with you, Kuechly was the one that I looked at, and I was like, how? And then I looked at his numbers, and I was like, oh, shit. Kuechly's a 7-time All-Pro. I'm like, he's a bona fide Hall of Famer. Like, I didn't realize that Luke Kuechly was really good. Did you realize that Luke Kuechly was a 7-time All-Pro in 8 seasons?
I didn't know it was that high, but I knew that he was
5-time first team.
I think Frank Gore is questionable.
Get the fuck out of here, man. He's third in rushing. He's in there. It sucks that he's a Craig Biggio. Like that's how Craig Biggio is in baseball.
Well,
he's a guy that had longevity and his stats are just good because of that. But like, it doesn't matter. He was consistent his entire career. Like,
but I think that there is
never the best.
Well, you know what? He's gonna get it. He made the all-decade team.
Hey, wait, exactly. But does he have an All-Pro? I'm curious.
One.
All right, there we go. Even though it's the second team, there we go. At least he was considered one. There was one year that people were like, man, no, that motherfucker was turning heads. We got to throw him in. He's in, man. He's third all-time rush. You got to put him in.
I'm not mad at it. Bro, I'm not mad at it.
Walter Payton and Emmitt Smith. Those are the only 2 guys that ran for more yards than him. He's in. Put him in.
Okay, so let's go with the
second group.
Likely.
Manning, no.
Fuck no, he shouldn't get in.
I don't think the Super Bowls are the only reason that you're even having the conversation.
Like, Eli Manning is average and had 2 good days. He had 2 amazing days, but he's fucking average.
They were right when you needed him to be. But like,
he made 4 Pro Bowls because he's a fucking Manning. No All-Pros. 60% career completion percentage, 366 touchdowns, 244, and passer rating of 84.1.
He's a no. I'm going to skip over Marciano and Marquise Pouncey unless there's an argument you can make.
No, I don't care about linemen.
Great offensive lineman. Phillip Rivers, maybe. He's so in the middle for me because
I don't think he should.
He doesn't have. See, it's the same reason why a lot of people don't want Matt in. Here's the thing: Matt's got the MVP, and so, like, to me, if there's ever been a saving grace for him, it's that. But at the same time, the Chargers have also had Dan Fouts, who I think is in, who went to the Super Bowl. Like, I mean, these are guys that played in the Super Bowl in the same franchise. I think statistically, he's the best that they've ever had. He's an 8-time Pro Bowler, and that's it. He never made an All-Pro. He has a comeback player of the year.
Fuck about that.
He led the league in passing once. He led the league in passing once, rating once, completion percentage once, and he was a touchdown leader. And that's
look here. The first stat you look for is how many All-Pros. If you haven't made one All-Pro, how do you get to be?
He was never top 2 any year of his career.
How do you get to join the room of the best of the best? Now, maybe if he was a little bit older or a little bit younger, it works out for him. But you came in during you played against Favre,
the best player.
Brady, Big Ben.
The guy you replaced is better than you.
Yeah, dog. Sucks.
It's unfortunate. Yeah, and you never won anything. You made one AFC Championship game, and that was with the roster that basically you inherited because they got rid of Breeze because of the neck or shoulder. And
you underperformed in the playoffs.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You probably won 2 or 3 playoff games your entire career, and one of the years you guys went 14-2.
We're giving Phillips more airtime than NC State college radio does.
Okay, Witten. Yes, I think he is. I don't think he's a maybe. I think he's a yes. Yeah, he's a tight end, and statistically, he was one of the best for sure.
And he's a Cowboy.
Yes,
and he tried TV, and he sucked at it.
AB. He
deserves to get
in and won't get in.
Yeah.
If T.O. had to wait 3 tries to get in, what are they going to do to him?
They're going to bring up
nigga. T.O. had to wait 3 years.
I know.
He had to wait 3 years. T.O.
got in no legal trouble.
Like 2 other wide receivers that you would argue that were more surefire first ballot wide receivers. and they both got in first ballot. One being the GOAT, right? The other being, the guy that I think a lot of people would depend on which way you go, who you think's better, but played in the same era as you. But they were 1A and 1B the entire time they were in the league together. And they both, funny enough, they both backed up. They were both wide receiver 2 for greats when they got in the league. They had similar paths. But neither of them won Super Bowls either. They both played in one. But neither won.
Jerry's the only top end receiver that won Super Bowl that we care about.
Who it matters with. I mean, yeah. Whitworth, we're going to ignore him. Eric Berry, no. He didn't play long. He's like Bob Sanders, but a little bit more healthy.
Let me look up Eric Berry's.
Look it up. He's a no for me though. But he's also on the possibly list. He's not on the likely. He's on the possibly. He's
a Georgia boy. He went to he from Fairburn, Creekside.
Yeah, he's from here.
Ooh.
No, right?
3 first-team All-Pros, 5-time Pro Bowls, 2010's All-Decade Team.
Defensive players are graded different from offensive because there's so many other defensive players
and
that put up this maybe a much more similar. He played safety too. He wasn't a corner.
People are dumb at evaluating the game, right? And safety's not a glamour position. But I will tell you, if he were a quarterback that had 3 first-team All-Pros and 5 Pro Bowls, he's a Hall of Famer. He has the resume. He only played 8 seasons, and he missed one of those seasons because he had Hodgkin's lymphoma.
I'm thinking about it maybe a little too much then because I don't know. I think a lot of it's eye test for me, and I didn't watch the Chiefs every week, but
if Eric Berry's eye test,
do I think he's a Hall of Famer? I tell you what, he's one of those guys. It's going to take him a bunch of years to get in if he does.
I think
Arenas Williams, you know Arenas Williams, right? For the Rams, he played for the Rams.
Williams, yeah.
The Cardinals.
Yeah.
It took him 7 or 8 years to get in, and I feel like I tell you what, just for comparison's sake, I don't know why he's the first person came up, but he's who I thought of when I'm thinking of him because I'm thinking of a guy that was great. Okay, Arenas Williams is an 8-time Pro Bowler and a 5-time All-Pro, and he's a 3-time first-team All-Pro. He did not get into the Hall of Fame until 2014, and he retired in 2004. It took him fucking 10 years to get in it. His resume stacks up better than Eric Berry's, and he played longer.
Eric Berry can definitely wait, but if
he's going to get in at the very end if he gets.
If you make the All-Decade team,
so he made the All-Decade. Arenas Williams made the All-Decade team.
No, I'm just saying,
Louisiana native too, by the way, New Orleans boy.
I'm just saying, if you make
Southern, he went to Southern too.
If you make the All-Decade team, you're probably a Hall of Famer, right? You were.
I'm just saying, it took him all 10 years to get in, Lee. And I just gave you his numbers, and they're better than Berry's.
I'm with you. I'm just saying, separate of the name of the person, if you are one of the best 2 players at your position for an entire decade, well, that's a career.
It took this man 10 years to get in. He's 8-time Pro Bowl and 5-time All-Pro.
Eric Berry might be.
It's not a glamour. It's not a position of we have to put him in. He was not. He was clearly the best at his position for a decade. He was one of the 2 best guys, but I'm just saying, I when I compare Eric Berry and him, it's a lot tougher, and it makes it to where I don't think so.
I'm just saying that if you make All-Decade team, you're
gone. By the way, on this. Okay.
Yeah, I know. I left. I got up.
Oh, my bad.
My door somehow just magically came open.
Here, let's go to the next person. Brandon Marshall. No,
fuck no.
Kyle Williams was a DN for the Bills. No,
don't care.
Clearly, I don't remember enough. LaShawn McCoy. No, fuck no. Stop it. And Shady was honestly during that 2000s. I would put him up as one of the 4 best running backs of that decade. 2000, 2010. He's not in, man. Come on, he's not in.
Maybe let me pull up his resume.
Go ahead. He's not in. Pull it up, but he's not in.
Shady. 2-time Super Bowl champion.
Stop with that bullshit for that position. We know that quarterback is the quarterback and coach, the only things that where we count the rings really.
So here we go. Two-time first team All-Pro, 6-time Pro Bowler, 1-year rushing leader. 1-year NFL touchdowns leader, all-decade team.
It's a no for me, dog.
11,000 yards, 73 rushing touchdowns, and 16 receiving touchdowns.
You just questioned Frank Gore. If we're going to question Frank Gore, then LaShawn McCoy's an obvious no.
Shady has 2 All-Pros.
Okay, stop it. He's not in. He's not in. Greg Olsen.
He's a no for me.
I think he's a no for me because we would talk a little about Witten, and Witten was better than him.
But I think that Greg Olsen being
in the same era too.
I think with Greg Olsen being on TV though, at Fox as the #1 guy until next year, it's going to help his case.
He's a no. It's a no. I think that he's going to be a guy that they will talk about. He's just going to be a no. Alex Mack. I saw the difference, of course, when he got to the Falcons, but the Browns were so bad. But if Joe Thomas can get in, why can't Alex Mack? So I
just don't talk linemen.
Yeah, you're right. We skipped over all that. But I tell you, he's the bonus. He's the bonus.
You're all here to do what Falcons do. Look at that.
He's the bonus only because he was a Falcon, and we went to the Super Bowl as soon as we got him. So it felt like he was the missing piece. He was the stability. That's the best offensive line the Falcons had. And Matt Ryan won an MVP. Like, I feel like he didn't get enough credit for how good he was. And then even when he went to San Francisco, they went to the Super Bowl too. Yeah. And obviously he was a Shanahan guy in Cleveland. Like, I just think that Alex Mack, we're not going to talk about it because he is O-line, but I mean,
you're talking about him.
I could see it, honestly. But nonetheless, last person on this list.
Yes.
Dick Sherman.
Yes.
Yes. He's a yes for me too.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, he's a yes. I don't see how Dick was outside of from. We talked about Revis earlier. Dick was next. Dick was the next guy. He was the Revis post Revis. He was the best corner in the league for at least 5 years.
And then he had to come back after the Achilles injury.
And played well with. He wasn't. People were talking shit.
I don't know.
He really wasn't bad with the 40, and he negotiated his own contract.
Bro, he had the All-Pro year in 2019 post Achilles.
That's what I'm saying. He was good with the 49ers.
Yeah, so you're fucking right. Dick Sherman's a Hall of Famer, if you ask me.
Yeah, I put Dick in. I think Dick deserves to be in.
Big Dick Sherman.
Yeah, Dick deserves to be in. So you got to put the Dick in.
You got to. You can't have kids if you don't.
Yeah. Now, if you pull them out, that's one thing, I guess. But
I mean, that's kind of responsible. Well, it depends.
For who?
Well, it depends on.
Not for Sherman.
It depends on what team Dick is playing against, or what team he's on. Actually, matter what team.
He lost to the Evil Empire, and it wasn't his fault. But his reaction is a gift today, a meme today, and his reaction is one of the best Super Bowls too, by the way. But
if you want to win, put Dick in. That's another double entendre.
Yeah, hey, that's what I kept saying. It's like Dick's got to get in. I don't know what order we're going in, Lee, but I'm looking ahead now because I'm just going off our chat. But I see here you put in PG headed into year 14, Steph year 15, Harden 15.
You know what?
KD 17, CP3 19, LeBron 21. We truly are nearing the end of a generation. We did have that in there.
I don't think we really have to talk about that.
You can glaze over it. I get the point of why you put it in. It is this the end of an era for the NBA?
I think so, yes. You glaze over it while I fucking glaze over this toilet. I gotta piss.
Is this an end of an era for the NBA? I believe so. I think that having those numbers put out in front of you. Now, granted, we're in an era too where there's way more one and dones and guys that get into the league early, but ultimately it does feel like the end of an era. 15 years in the league is honestly unheard of to still be on top. And a lot of these guys are still on top. And I think that is why it feels like the end of an era, because everybody isn't going to play for 20 years. I think that even when people saw Kobe do it, right, or KG, I think, did 19. I think Duncan did 20. Dirk did 20. When guys start doing that, that's not realistic. D. Wade retired the same year that Dirk did, and D. Wade did 15 years. So now, granted, much more injury-prone player, but at the same time, and the league is a little different today, but at the same time, if you look at it, it's one of those things where this is the end of that era. This is the guys that were drafted in the mid to getting close to late 2010s, or 2000s rather, not 2010s, heading into the 2010s. Guys that were getting drafted in those years are now becoming not just vets, because they've been vets. Now they're old heads. And in the case of guys like LeBron, KD, and CP3, they're kind of super old heads. But today's league allows them to continue to play. And I think that the advancement of technology and the, health regimens that these guys put in, it's making them last longer. So the year is fooling us because we're not used to saying it. And with Lee back, I can even explain further, just more so. I brought it up to how Dirk and D. Wade retired the same year. Wade year 15, Dirk year 20, but they retired the same year. And
both trash.
Sure, in your opinion, but
no, when they retired, not their career.
But I guess when you look at it, this is the basketball we grew up on. LeBron, of course, being the last of the last in reality, but CP3 too, to a degree. But like KD in year 17 is wild. That feels wild because I remember when he was a Sonic, I went to Hawk Sonic. Like, so it just feels different. Russ, of course, and Harden coming the years after him. So, of course, they're right behind him. But because we, in the past, have looked at the years, most NBA players decline by year 11. If you're a great one, even. You're declining by year 11, year 12.
A lot of these niggas decline.
And I said, like with Kobe, it's not to bring Kobe up like this, but like, think about it. Doing 20 years, bro, that is not something that's done. That people don't do that. Duncan did it. Dirk did it. The all-time greats have done it.
Well, Kobe wasn't good his last contract.
He was hurt, but this is my point. Most guys don't make it to that. I mean, I'm not trying to be funny. Chris Paul is serviceable, but he's not. How good is Chris Paul in your opinion?
Chris Paul is a year removed from making All-NBA, so I don't know.
Man, who did he have to play? Who did Kobe play with too while he was those waning years? Bro, he didn't. I mean, I'm not trying to be funny. Let's just keep it 100 too. Who the fuck did he play with? What era did he play in when that was like? I don't know. Kobe's body was done.
I just know you defend Kobe like a family member.
Am I defending him like a family member, or am I telling the truth?
It depends on what we're talking about. Let's see. CP3's last All-NBA team was 2022.
Okay, so last year, not this past year, but the following.
Yeah. So I don't.
Was he third team?
Huh?
Was he third team?
Yeah.
How many games did he play? I mean, come on, man.
Let's see.
Was he the third best point guard? Trae Young probably got robbed of a spot because they gave it to him. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
well,
it's not me to suck off like Trae, but like,
I hope
Trae Young is better than Chris Paul. Is he not?
The Hawks. He played 65 games. Trae Young's probably not gonna. The media doesn't like Trae Young, so Trae Young's not gonna make All NBA.
But why wouldn't he have made it over Chris Paul? Come on, what is that really?
Because the Suns had a good record, and he's Chris Paul. He's the point guard, and Trae Young
were a playoff team, and he was the best player on the team.
and he shoots too much. And they don't like him, but he still averages like 29 and 10. I don't know.
I bet he shot over 40%. I mean, I bet it wasn't that fucking bad, is what I'm saying.
You listen to enough podcasts to know that the national media doesn't fuck with Trae Young. Trae Young didn't make the All-Star game this year.
I know. MPJ was on with, I think, Taylor Rooks.
Yeah.
And they asked him, and he was like, now granted, he disclaimed and said, Trey's one of my best friends in the league, which, I mean, I wouldn't have known that. But the point is that, like,
yo,
come on, bro. He said he's probably really the most underrated player in the league.
They love Halliburton. They tell me how great Halliburton is. And that
I like Halliburton too, but he's not better than Trey.
He ain't seen a playoff game.
He's not better than Trey.
His numbers aren't better than Trey, and he's played in as many NBA playoff games as I have.
I'll listen to a motherfucker if they say Shai Gilgeous is better than him, because I do think Shai is.
That nigga 6'7".
Exactly, but that's the point. But Halliburton's taller too. But I'm just saying that's why Halliburton's taller than Trey, way taller than Trey. I'm just saying, but with Shai, it ain't because he got first team this year. It's because I don't know. That nigga 3-game not even that strong, and he's still giving you 30. But he'll give you 6. He doesn't give you 9 assists, but he's gonna give you 6, 7.
Trae Young goes to the fucking playoffs, man. What are you talking about? Trae Young is a playoff player. I don't like.
And it's won big games. Obviously, beating Philly, Game 7. It wasn't him; it was Herder that had the game. But like, he won the game. He ousted the Knicks. They ousted the Knicks in 5. They beat Miami in the play-in this year. They won both play-in games last year. The following year, the year before, he's won games that were important. They beat. It wasn't an important game. He iced the game against Boston to where that shit should have been over in 5, and they took it 6. Like,
he exposed Boston for being the big fat phonies that they are.
Exactly why everybody should have been on riding a Miami type team because of it. No homo.
But